games, one after another. Starting things off with a three-way Sinus Bashless Stompless race of Orient the Blind Forest, raced by Smashy, Nfnite, and Koala, who are three of the top 4 runners of this category. Feel free to say hi, everyone. Yeah, so since this category requires way too much concentration to do any commentary while running, I, Xemnas, am going to be joining Mel to do the commentary for this race. But enough of a preload, let's get this run on the way and give our runners a countdown here, starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Good luck, everyone. Yes, indeed. Leveling up in this game does quite a few things. Once, it gives you an ability point, which you can either spend on abilities or use for various glitches. We'll get to that when it goes so far. And also, very importantly, it does refill all your resources. So since it fills up your energy, that means you get to do another save afterwards. For now, our runners are gonna damage boost through these 2 damage brambles here, save on the teleporter to refill their health and energy, put the save down here and use the respawn invulnerability frames to jump off the bounce pad, letting us get back up to the starting area. Now we got that level up we talked about, which means we have 1 energy again and full health, can damage boost through these brambles, which are supposed to be a barrier until you get sign, and get to these, well, kinda empty spots, which actually contain a keystone. Indeed, we have. And as you're seeing, our runners are on exactly 1 health right now after doing the Bramble damage boost. Another good thing, finding resource containers like this health cell here above refills that particular resource. So now our runners are back to 4 health, allowing us to do some more damage boosting. Have to get around all these slimes without really taking damage. And we do not have Sign, the first ability, which is supposed to allow you to defend yourself. So it's going to be a lot of both enemy and projectile dodging as we are collecting yet another keystone and heading on our way to the first actual ability we are going to get. Alright, and now we are up on our way to the wall jump tree. This tree, one of many skill trees, gives us one of the abilities of the game. In this case, wall jump, only allowing us to do exactly what it says on the tin, jumping up walls. Here, this first wall will give us our second energy of the run. You've already seen how energy being both used for saving as well as various other later abilities which have an energy consumption is important. So our runners are going to collect it since it's just like 3 seconds out of the way. Now we're gonna be seeing another respawn invulnerability abuse here, where we use the respawn and run up the wall, now doing some precise jumping here on the log, and we are out of the wall jump area without sign again. Now up to the next part. Again, since we do not have sign to defend ourselves, all these Fronkies which are jumping around here cannot really be dealt with. Instead, we're gonna need to manipulate their position to do correct jumps. Can't afford to take more than this damage. Alright, everything is fine. We still have 2 health because since pushing rocks is slow, we wanna damage boost up this wall. And here's another timed level up, blasting the brambles out of the way and then allowing us to go back into the direction we came from. Another save and reload with the invulnerability iframes will allow us to keep those 2 health, since we need to damage boost off the slime through the 2 damage brambles and get all the way back. And with this we can now walk over into the direction of Blackroot Burrows, the first optional area of the game. Alright, using that invulnerability again. Now we've reached the teleporter and can open up the save menu again. This save anywhere trick, as mentioned before, does allow you to spend your ability points wherever you want, and whenever you spend one of these, the game will actually autosave for you. So we can start a cutscene here at the entrance, reload our game, and do not need to watch the cutscene. Now we're into Blackroot Barrows, and Blackroot is a very, very interesting area in this category. Normally you're supposed to use an orb that we will be collecting on the left of Blackroot to do some puzzles where the orb will despawn some platforms and make others spawn in a radius around it. And if you ever leave it behind, as we're seeing here, that will it will come flying back to sign. Now we do not have sign, so what we instead do is we reload our game or take deaths after saving, which will then put kinda a fake sign at our save location. So after about 8 seconds, the orb will just realize, alright, I need to come back, flying over, and we can get over here. We will be also seeing just that again in a second, as our runners are now doing to this going through this laser segment, which is basically done as you would in a casual playthrough.
All right, well, hopefully you can all hear me now. I can actually join in on the commentary here. So what we're seeing now is all of our runners will be taking a short pause at the top of this section that's manipulating this platform cycle in the next, and then they're going to be very carefully dodging this slime here, and some careful movement there will allow them to get through that without getting shot.
Yep, and as you're already seeing, this entire thing is basically a sequence of auto-scrollers. So why do we go to an optional area which is full of auto-scrollers in our speedrun? Well, there is an ability right after this room, which 2 of our runners are in right now, and with Nfnite just getting in there too. Well, there is an ability right here, and it is the fastest ability in the game. We are going to be getting Dash here.
Yeah, on top of being very fast, Dash gives us very fast movement along the ground, and will later also have the ability to air dash. It also is very important for a couple of glitches we're going to be doing later, and is one of the things that makes this category even possible. And we also have a fun cutscene to watch now, which normally we would try and skip, but we don't have an ability point available to skip this cutscene, so instead we just get to watch the whole area get lit up as this orb and platform, or the statue absorbs the orb.
And with this, we finally reach our second ability of the game, Dash, and this is where the run really starts to pick up pace. We're going to be seeing our runners drop down into the area which leads to lower backroot, pull the lever up, and now try to raise this wall before it closes. Our runners, being veterans of the speedrun, obviously won't have problems doing a timed race, but now is where we're gonna take things a bit out of sequence. We are still gonna raise the boulder, but instead of jumping up to safety, we're gonna duck right after the slip, and the boulder will actually push us into the floor instead of killing us. We can now place a save under here, collect this health cell and the teleporter on top, and then resave at the save we've placed out of bounds, allowing us to respawn out of bounds and heading right into the area of the double jump tree at the bottom right side of the entire map.
Yeah, and like a lot of things we've been doing so far, that teleporter we're grabbing is very important for later on. It's actually the teleporter we'll use for the final trick of this category. And with that, we see Nfnite is now all the way through and is going for a fast cycle, which he gets. That's fantastic. Very difficult to do that coming in from that area after that out of bounds. And has now put in the keys to that keystone door while grabbing an extra one. We see Koala unfortunately misses that, so does not save the 8 seconds of that cycle. And we now will see Smashy also attempt it, and unfortunately does not get the ramp off the crystal, so also misses that. And now Nfnite has collected double jump, so that has greatly increased our movement options.
Yes, we can already see climbing up walls got a bit faster now that we can actually use double jump to kind of get a bit of extra momentum on those. And if you've ever seen one of the more usual categories of the run, you will be knowing the tricks that are coming up. We are going to be skipping the entire left side of this grotto area while exiting by doing a precise wall jump here off this one area of the wall. Now we don't need to go to the left at all, and putting it safe down here and reloading that, we will be also despawning all the rocks that Aguma would throw at us while we are climbing up this wall, allowing us to do this in peace and getting some nicer cycles as well. One thing I just want to pay attention to is we are collecting XP during this entire time. XP is actually routed all the way through the last minutes of the run. We are going to be having a lot of these level ups. So every 100 XP our runners are picking up is required, even if we're taking a second or so to collect it. But now we are safe glitching to keep this bridge shut so we don't fall all the way back down. The animation plays out, but we have time to climb up the wall and go on the way to Grotto now.
Also, what Nfnite just collected there was the first of our 6 world events that we'll need to get. That's the water vein. Those world events are broken up into 2 categories. There are the 3 dungeon keys and the 3 events at the end of each dungeon. And while the water vein is the key to the first dungeon, we'll actually be doing it last. So collecting it now, but we won't be using it for a while.
Indeed, and we've also grabbed the Grotto TP as well as some extra XP here on the way. We'll be now climbing upwards, just getting more of that map progress done. There are 2 reasons for that. One of them is once we actually want to go into the left side, we're going to need a lot of ability sets to do that, both for safe glitches as well, to actually gain access to one of the abilities in the tree, as well as we need those teleporters on our route anyway, so we're getting that out of the way now. Now here on Nfnite screen you can see some nice wall jumps up this wall, allowing us to get this ability cell early, and now we are heading over to get to the swamp teleporter.
Yeah, this will be the last thing we collect here before we head back into Glades. And everyone else making their own progress on their way out of Grotto. And it looks like Koala is almost to that swamp teleporter as well, and Smashy not too far behind.
Indeed. And now one thing that some of you might have noticed is we have 1 keystone right now, and we did see a keystone door requiring 2 of those keystones earlier. We have already collected the keystones in Glades, so that means we cannot use these to open this door. Instead, we are going to lure this Frankie over. And one very, very interesting property of keystone doors is they refund you your keystones when you die with the keystone in. And also, if it's too far away, you're just gonna get them duplicated. So now by doing this Frankie lure, we are going to get 1 additional keystone, allowing us to actually go through the door without collecting it in the world. And this will allow our runners to get on the way to the intended second skill of the game, making our way over to the Charge Flame area.
Yeah, it's also always interesting to see how much faster you can progress through some of these earlier areas now that we have double jump. It allows for skipping a couple things, or in the case right here, collecting an ability cell a little early, again using some interesting walls to get up there.
Yep. And we're also seeing some intentional damage boosts on the way up, preparing all the way up for here, or needs to dodge that, but now we can save and take a death, and doing that will just completely skip the entire door opening animation. We call that a coaster. Speaking of things we won't skip, however, there is a teleporter here with a gigantic cutscene on top of it, which is skippable, but we do not do it in this route. Would also lose the teleporter activation. So while we're watching this, why don't we throw it over to you for some donations here?
All right. Let's see what we've got. We don't have any donations right now, but I can talk a little bit about what we've got going on with our bid wars and milestones. Right now, our bid war is just the fate of the animals. Save the animals, kill the animals. Save the animals currently at $448.27. Kill the animals at $344.82. In terms of our milestones, we're just about at Metroid hard mode already. We just got to get to 2021 for that, and then after that we'll have the Axiom Verge randomizer hard mode, and that's at $2,250. And remember, all the money that's being donated goes to the National Multiple Sclerosis Society.
Thank you very much for that. And one thing that has happened here, we did despawn a wall while watching a cutscene, but nothing too major. We are now gonna do some more of that signless sign using here, where we reload our game to spawn a fake sign, allowing us to actually use that charge flame we just got to break through this wall. And now there's one trick coming up that might need some explanation, right, Mel?
Yeah, so you'll notice that Nfnite has stored this ability menu we've been using before. Nfnite is going to use this to set up what we call a hyperspeed. He is going to save and dash on the same frame, and he's going to do this just a very short distance away from this wall here. He's then going to run away from this so that the wall unloads, and he's going to die. And when he respawns, he's going to be moving towards that wall, but it's unloaded, so he just goes straight through it, right out of bounds. And then by saving again, he's able to come back in through this wall, and we're now out of Valley entry into Valley proper, which is where we needed to be. Now, there's another trick coming up in just a moment. After grabbing some XP, Nfnite is then going to charge dash, which is this targeted high-powered dash towards the frog, jump cancel it, and just go flying upwards very fast. And with that, we're now at the top of Valley, where we have these rocks that we need to break. So these rocks are normally broken with Stomp, but we don't have that. So instead, we're going to make use of this spider here. We're going to place a save here and die so that we can now use Charge Flame. We're going to bait a Spider Shot in a specific spot, redirect it with Charge Flame, run away to unload a wall, and if everything went smoothly, the rocks will be broken. And there you go.
Very nicely done. Nfnite making that look so much easier than it is, especially with Charge Flame. Both the angle and the movement kinda very precise to get it. But with this, the rocks are broken and we're getting Kuro's Feather here, which will give us the ability to use the glide skill, a way to air stall here. So now what we're going to see is Nfnite dropping back down because we're kinda low on both health and energy, and dashing over to this teleporter on the right here, getting a quick refill, and now it is time to go into the Misty Woods, but not to get the dungeon key or to get the ability in there, but rather it's a bit of a shortcut into one of the dungeons of the game.
And it looks like Koala did not get quite enough height with this rocket jump, so save to get some energy back, and is going to be redoing that to get up here to attempt to charge Flame Stompless. Looks like second attempt was fine, as Smashy dodges these frogs before attempting her own rocket jump. And that looks like it is possibly not quite enough height. Unfortunately, if you don't get enough height, you also can't use that last charge dash, as we need the energy for Charge Flame. And Koala now attempting Charge Flame Stompless, and looks like the angle was not quite correct on that. Like we mentioned, this is a very precise trick, so can sometimes take a couple attempts.
Yes, indeed, and Smashy also catching up to that Sea Flame Stompness. So put your eyes on both those screens as well as on the other screen, because we have another Terra clip going on at the same time as the Sea Flame Stompness attempt. All right, one worked out very nicely, two synchronized working attempts, very nice. But on the middle, we are falling out of Misty because not all of that area is loaded. And funnily enough, the end of the Forlorn Ruins, the second dungeon of the game, is right here at the end of this fall. So we are now gonna start the Wind Restored cutscene, which will give us that world event, one of the requirements for the category. But also during the cutscene, Ori's position is completely different. So if we just save our game after the fade out here and reload it, we will be turning up all the way at the start of this area, past the door, and can now continue here in the bigger part of the Fallen Ruins.
Yeah, the first thing Infinite's going to do here is use that keystone door we saw to the right. So we're going to run over to the left here, just out of range of that keystone door, place down a save, and we're going to duplicate some keys. This is sometimes called the key factory in Ori. It's the fastest key dupe you can do, and very nice in categories where you need lots of keystones and don't feel like collecting them. So with that, Infinite now up to 7 keys. Infinite's now going to stack a save and a teleport at the same time. This will give him movement. He's going to then use this orb and get left-facing gravity just before the teleport finishes, which will be carried through the teleport. We're then going to fall leftwards into Misty, which is unloaded as a result of what we just did. And we're going to end up at the area we just terraclipped into, which happens to also be the end of Misty, where there's a keystone door that we now conveniently have keys for, and this torch over here that will let us get the next world event.
Yes, and we're seeing a nice trick here called hands-free, allowing us to now use both orbs to carry one of them without actually doing any of the slow carrying we've seen in the earlier areas of the game. So Misty is already done, and now we can turn in Azu's Torch to get the key for the dungeon we have just completed, one of the 6 world events, still a requirement, even if we don't actually need it to enter the dungeon. Doing some more save manipulation and reloads here to get movement during the rather long cutscene, allowing us to head over to the direction of Sorrow Pass while this cutscene plays out. And in just a moment, you're going to see the camera snap over, show a bit of out of bounds area, and the moment we place down a save, it snaps back, and off we go into Sorrow.
So over on Smashy's screen, it looked like she was short an energy going for the Terraclip out of Misty, and unfortunately had to reload a backup save all the way back at the beginning of Misty. So just goes to show how important the energy is in this game, and a very unfortunate time loss for her.
Yeah, that is just how it goes sometimes with categories like this, where every energy, every XP is routed to the dot. On the right, we get more Keystone Factory, while on the left, we are now gonna reach the final skill of the game, Charge Jump. Doing a nice Ghost Door again, now baiting the Frog Shot since we have neither Bash or Storm, and getting that ability. Charge Jump does also exactly what it says on the tin. You can charge up your jump, it will go higher, it will deal a lot of damage, and it can break some ceilings. Now, that last property is intended to be used right above where you are, but there is a glitch called the Terra Break, also named after Terra who found it, where you can carry that floor breaking through a death. So we are going to fly up to this ceiling here, save our game with another save anywhere, and jump into some spikes. And oh, it looks like, was the position maybe a bit off? Yeah, the position looks a bit off, too far to the right, so we would need to resave our game here. Let's see if Infinite chooses to do that, or rather opt to just reload a save, one of the two we're going to see very soon here. Meanwhile, on the left, Smashy has made it to the Fallen Ruins, still has this ability cell to skip out of it. So we're getting out of Fallen, and Infinite finally got through his Terra Break and still has an ability cell left to skip this cutscene right here, because last time I timed it, the Sunstone cutscene takes about 3 years and you don't want to watch that.
Yeah, this is definitely a long one. Looks like Infinite was able to jump a little bit more leftwards and just barely get that charge jump hitbox to hit the ceiling and break it. So a good backup and recovery on that. And Koala is now heading on into Sorrow, so we'll be collecting charge jump rather shortly, as they will also be passing as Nfnite is on the way out, heading back towards the teleporter, and we'll be heading to the final dungeon, or I guess the first dungeon, but it's the final dungeon for us.
Yes, indeed. We could be finishing the game at any point we wanted to, but remember, category rules, all 6 world events. That includes the Ginso escape, that iconic section of the game. So that's where we're heading now. We're gonna be jumping over some cutscene triggers here and do various safe manipulation to first not watch the door slowly open and then not watch an invisible sign that we never picked up tell us about the Ginso tree we are in right now. Seems to have missed the reload on the first time. That reloading actually requires a certain frequency, because of course it does, to get something called game storage and skip the cutscene. But now we're in, and this is a vertical dungeon supposed to first make you feel, man, I would really like to have a skill that lets me get up faster and then give you that with bash. We're skipping bash, but we have charge jump from the end, and we already have charge dash. So what we can do here is use the charge dash to redirect this projectile, skipping this entire puzzle. And now we're gonna collect some energy. There is supposed to be a mini boss here, but 1 charge jump and 2 charge dashes make short work of it. And with this, we can continue to the second half of the tree.
Yeah, charge jump definitely lets us make quick work of the beginning of this dungeon. You are not supposed to have charge jump when you come here originally. However, now that we're getting to the point where we would normally be collecting bash, we're going to have to start getting a little more creative with our charge jump uses. You're going to see a lot more damage boosts in the second half.
Yes, indeed, because you may have already seen the toes there. You're supposed to use bash to redirect those projectiles to bash off of all these hanging lanterns and get extra height, but we are not allowed to get that. It is signed as bashless, stompless after all. So instead we're going to be doing some nice damage boosts here, put down the hyperspeed save, and off into the second mini boss room we go, and we're just gonna charge jump into it. It is going to die. And now, 26 minutes into the run, is where our XP is gonna come back for us, because what we need to do is break two of these brambles here, and we cannot break the right wall blocking one. So instead we are going to use this level up explosion, breaking both at the same time. Nice backup there with the frog, and this allows us access to the so iconic Ginso escape of this game.
Yeah, and like the rest of this dungeon, this escape is definitely designed around bash. You'll see these lanterns here, and a lot of the enemies in this will be shooting projectiles. So our runners will be making some very nice use of rocket jumps as well as charge jump to bypass some of that in this dungeon. There's also 2 required damage boosts at the end of this, so since we only have 5 health, we can't really afford any damage, although there's a couple of places to refill health, so Nfnite just took some damage there. We'll probably be collecting some health from one of these flowers. Yep, there we see a health pickup to refill, and with a couple more rocket jumps is at that point of the damage boost, so 1 more and Nfnite will be out, and there we go. Ginso escape is done, and with that we are 5 out of the 6 events done.
Indeed, and the only event that's left is indeed the final one at the end of the final dungeon of the game. So now it is time for us to make our way to Horror. Oh, on the right there, Koala accidentally jumping into the portal at the wrong angle, and this portal is very rude and just throws you out of bounds if you do that, with no way to actually go all the way through the floor, so it doesn't help us in that sense, but now fixes that. Very nice. On Nfnite side, we are going to Terra Clip through this wall here, allowing us to get out of the stomp area, which normally requires, well, stomp, but we're not allowed to get that. Now giving us access to our freedom, and we can get back to the teleporters. And now it is time to do one more big trick. We are going to be changing the destination of our teleports a little bit.
Yeah, so we call this a warp displacement. So what you're going to see Nfnite do is Nfnite's going to store the teleport menu and is going to die and then start a teleport. This will give Nfnite movement during the teleport, and he's going to swing this platform to a specific angle that will tilt Ori and will basically rotate the angle of that teleport, and with that, we're outside the final dungeon. So we just skipped all of Horu Fields, and we are almost done.
Yes, so you might be looking at the estimate and saying, yeah, that makes sense with Horu, but no, we are not actually going to see a lot of this dungeon. Instead, we're going to reload and try to enter the door on the first frame possible. And if we do it, yep, camera will pan over and we are all the way to the end of the dungeon. Don't need to do any of the rooms, which is good for us because about half of them require Stomp to finish and there's no way around that. Now Koala also getting his core skip here done on the Ginso tree, so he will be starting his Ginso escape at about the same time. Nfnite is starting the final escape here, the horror escape, and off we go. Now, one thing there is to mention, we are still on an incredibly low amount of energy and we need to break those floors. So that's a charge, there's one energy. Now getting on some friendly spikes, a second energy here, a third energy, a fourth energy, we are out of energy. And now we are also out of health after this damage boost. So we need to be very careful not to touch any fire here, and there are two fish and we have no way to defend ourselves. So let's see if the fish are out for blood today. Nice dodge on the second one. Now just jumping over the Kuro trigger, climbing up the left wall. One charge jump, two. There is one more kind of precise one here. Doesn't reach the wall quite on the first attempt, but also not on the second one. This is kind of the final hurdle, but there is no time pressure. Out Nfnite goes. There's just about 1.5 minutes of holding right until the last input of the game. GG Nfnite.
Yeah, and on Koala's screen, we saw Koala finishing that Ginso escape, so is in Swamp, and we'll be able to head over to the teleporters in just a moment, as Smashy is about to start that same Ginso escape, so hopefully that goes well.
Yeah, so let's see how it goes. So on the right, we are going to see that that Terra clip as seen before, and Smashy with the water racing her. We've already seen before how close that water gets in those final jumps, and we do not have that much health. So let's see how it goes. Rocket jumps up here with the water will immediately catch up because that's how this works. And with this, we can get into the second half. Jumping up, there's another nice rocket jump we can do, but instead opting to go for the charge jump. Now using the charge dash to avoid damage here, another damage boosted charge jump, and there's one more, and almost slides off the wall but gets it, and out she goes. Very nicely done. 3 out of 3 Ginso escapes here, as Nfnite is now in his last few seconds, and the moment the tree arrives, that's time for Nfnite.
Yeah, GG's to Nfnite. That was a incredible run. I believe fairly close to Nfnite's PB, which is also the world record. So just absolutely incredible pace from him.
Can I squeeze in a donation very quickly?
Yeah, go ahead.
We got a $10 donation from Marus SR who says, all these runners are great, but I can't hide my bias. Go Smashy! Thanks for always putting on great events for great causes. Thank you so much for that $10.
And it looks like Koala has gotten the door warp, so is now watching the final cutscene and will be starting the final escape there. So pay attention, as we saw from Nfnite, a lot of precise movement there, especially in this category. There's no room for mistakes. And, Smashy also will be going for this warp displacement, so going for that correct platform angle. So far, all looks good, so should end up in Horu Fields.
Indeed, so Smashy entering the final dungeon. Any mistake during the final escape can still shift the results here. Let's see how it goes. We are through most of the hard sections, but there are still 2 fish between us and the victory. So let's see. Yes, going for a bit of a cycle manipulation here, waiting at the left side of the water gives us a bit more leeway with the first fish and allows us to avoid aggroing the second fish altogether. So now we just need to jump over the trigger here and climb up that left wall to get into this holding right segment, as we like to call it, since we are basically just holding right for 1.5 minutes until we lose control of Naru and get our time here. So while we're waiting for that, let's watch how Smashy tackles this final escape. Through the first rooms, Meteor falling again, needs to charge that rock to stop Kuro from killing her. Onto the friendly spikes we go, waiting for the cycle on the laser, and gets rammed, which means we are out of energy, gonna have to try again. This is exactly what's one of the many difficulties with this escape.
Oh, and also an unintentional charge dash there, so Smashy just takes a quick death to reset energy at the beginning of this escape. Kind of have absolutely no leeway for spending energy except on these breaks and some other planned charge dashes. And so far looks good here. Let's see, breaks that floor fine and breaks the wall fine, and the damage boost also goes well, so just has the fish to deal with. We'll see if the fish are being cooperative for Smashy today.
Right, and it's going to be in any moment. It's time for Koala now. Right, fish were cooperative, and we're jumping over the final Kuro spawn trigger here too. And there's just one wall left, and the same amount of time as our other runners before we're gonna be finishing out with all of our 3 official times here.
Can I say a little bit about the charity during this period?
Yeah, go right ahead.
All right, seems like a good time. So this event, Metroidvaniathon 2021, is benefiting the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. The Society's mission is that people affected by MS can live their best lives as we stop MS in its tracks, restore what has been lost, and end MS forever. We will cure multiple sclerosis while empowering people affected by MS to live their best lives. The MS Society helps each person address the challenges of living with MS by funding cutting-edge research, driving change through advocacy, and providing programs and services that help people with MS and their families move their lives forward. The National MS Society is a collective of passionate individuals who want to do something about MS now, to move toward a world free of multiple sclerosis. MS stops people from moving. We exist to make sure it doesn't. That's where your money's going, the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. So thank you so far for all of your generosity.
Yeah, thanks to everyone for donating, and thanks to all of you for putting on this wonderful event. And it was time for Smashy there. And if you enjoyed this run, be sure to check out the Ori community, as well as the upcoming run, which is going to be Ori and the Will of the Wisps. You can find most of our stuff is either on speedrun.com/Ori_DE, and there's also a link to our Discord there. And whether you want to learn another Ori category or SBS specifically, be sure to check out any of that. We'd love to have you there.
I can tell you they did.
Yeah, GG to all 3 of you. It was a really fun race to watch.
Yeah, everything about this was great. The race was great. The commentary was great. The chat was great. I saw all that support in the chat. This was great all around. Saying any last words from y'all? There you go. Well,
Yeah, I think Mel said it very well. So, also for me, thanks again for having us all. Thanks for Mel for commentating with me. It was fun as always. And hope to see you again.
all right, that was Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition by Smashy, Nfnite, and SuperFluffyKoalaBear.